4-2 then, the final score at Box Hills Ground, and a fine start from the Vics to try and regain the George Wallace Trophy from the South Australian Crow Eaters. Good start too, and a good scalp too for coach Ian Dobson. Zoran Matic, the former Adelaide City coach, was his opposite number today. And Greg, you've got the goal scorers for Victoria there.
Yes, not too hard this job. Sava Rosmir, Nick Radecki, who's with us this evening in our live audience. There's a sombre silence over here, but we actually have got audience participants coming out of every orifice. Tom Markovski's here tonight, scored, and Dean Fack as well. So a resounding victory for the Victorians, and another double comeback for Ian Dobson as coach. He did it in the grand final. He's done it today for the Victorians and won up the orifice of the South Australians, which pleases me enormously. Paulie?
Good stuff, and it's an appropriate time now to welcome our studio audiences. And I'll run through just our guests here tonight. The Brisbane Troppos are here, and if you don't know who the Brisbane Troppos are, we don't blame you. They're one of the ladies' teams that are playing in Melbourne in the Masters Games. Welcome to them tonight. Also in the studio tonight, the Victorian under-15 and under-16 sides that recently played in the National Championships. Members also of the successful Victorian squad that beat the Crow Eaters today by 4-2, and also the Victorian Girls ITC squad, which is some of our elite girl players in Victoria. So let's have a big hand for everybody in the Soccer Show studio audience. Well, they're a lively lot and it's good to see them. We'll just quickly look at the game this afternoon, and a special guest also on the panel tonight is Henry Sivka, Chairman of the Victorian Soccer Federation. And Henry, you were at the State of Origin game today. How did you see the match?
Yes, it was a good match. Actually, we had wonderful weather to watch the game today. The boys out of Wembley really turned it on for us as well. And look, it's really not up to me to talk about the game. We've got the coach of the Victorian team here, Ian Dobson, and I think probably with Shocker out in the audience, we could ask Ian how the game went.
Well, I'm over here, boys, just in case you missed me. And the last time I sat here, I sat between Dobson and Markovski, and at the humble pie that night because Altona Magic won the premiership. But Ian, great victory over the South Australians today.
Yeah, it was, John. It was a great performance from the boys. I've tried to put a lot of pride and a lot of hunger back into the Victorian team that sort of dissipated over the last couple of years. We've got that back, and we had a lot to prove, having got beaten 4-0 2 years ago by the Crow Eaters. We're back on track, and I'm sure now we can bring that George Wallace Trophy back to Victoria, where it really belongs.
Well done, Dobbo. And Tom Markovski, are you still speaking to me?
Yes, mate, of course I am. What
about that friend of yours, John Markovski?
Yeah, he's still speaking to you.
Oh, that's not too exciting for me, is it? Good game today, son, and you got on the score sheet as well.
Deflection, I'm claiming it. Any goal you get is a good goal, so I've claimed it. The referee gave it to me, so it's one up for me. It's all right. It's one more than Nick.
And I believe you delayed your honeymoon because you got married last Sunday. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'll go away on Tuesday.
Would you like to say good evening to your wife tonight? Well, she must be watching, surely.
I hope so. Yeah. Hi, Debbie.
Tommy, was that the missus that I saw you with on Saturday night? I certainly hope so. Out at High Point West.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah, it was.
Were you out at the flicks? What
Yes,
did you see? What did you see?
Apollo 13.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Blakey,
please continue. I was just curious.
Blakey, I've just got to move over here a bit because there's a bit of conjecture in the Victorian team. Nick Van Egmond took a great free kick today. It flew into the South Australian box, and this fella here, Nick Radecki, said he got a head to it. But Nick, I think you're claiming the goal.
For starters, you can call me Dean Fack. It went straight in. I'd love to see the replay.
Well, I think when you get as old as Nick and have played soccer as long as Nick has, you really try to claim any goal that you can. But the truth of the matter is that I did get a touch and the goal was credited to me, which is the right decision by the referee.
Well, I think if you're that desperate to get a goal, you can have it. But it wasn't yours.
Blakey, we've got a bit of a blow in here. I hope to keep that anger going for the second leg on October the 22nd over in SA.
I would like to ask Nick, though. I mean, a year after winning the gold medal... Oh, sorry, Nick Van Egmond.
Nick on the left or Nick on the right?
Nick on your left, John, if that's not too confusing.
Thank you, dear.
I mean, a year after winning the equal winner of the gold medal, you played with Croydon this year, not in the top league. You're still in the state side. Do you reckon you may have given away Premier League a little bit early?
Oh, well, I haven't given it away.
Nobody picked you up.
I had a few clubs to go to, but I had my reasons to stay in Croydon, and I don't regret it. I've enjoyed it this year.
And just a quick question for the other Nick. You've recently been playing in Hong Kong, I believe. And, of course, with a lot of Australian players going overseas, you've come back after your stint overseas. What was that like?
It was definitely an experience. It will probably be something that I'll remember, and unfortunately things didn't work out, so I've decided to stay here. But that's something that I'll keep in the back of my mind and use to, you know, for my benefit in the future.
Well, we might have to get a referee on the decision, Blakey and Paul, because one guy that was at the game, and he's not biased, it's Nick Van Egmond Sr., former great goalkeeper with Ringwood Wilhelmina. Nick, what did you think of the goal? Was it Nick's?
No, I thought Nick Radecki had flicked his hair and went in.
Yes.
Nick's claimed a few of these in the past as well, so...
Great sponsor of soccer, the Bayswater Indoor Park. The mother, what do you think?
I thought Tom scored it.
Well, total confusion. I wonder, you must have been that bottle. Must have been that bottle of Jim Beam she won on the raffle.
While you're weaving your way through the audience, John, what about the Brisbane Troppos? Head on over in that direction and let's get a word in. I have no idea. What is a Brisbane Troppo?
Well, I'm about to find out, by the way. Oh, don't you do it. Your hands are cold. Well, who's the spokeswoman for the... this one over here? What's your name?
Deborah.
Deborah, I don't believe that women should be playing soccer. I think she should be in the kitchen. I think she should be in the bedroom. But have you won your first game yet?
No, we lost actually.
What was the score?
We just lost.
Well, there you go, boys out there, all you people watching on television. The girls haven't scored yet and they've been in Melbourne for about 10 days. Must be a barren night out there, I'll tell you. I think we should just wander over here, Blakey, because we've seen the older guys, and not too old. We've seen the ladies. I was going to say old ladies, but I can't. They'll kill me. But what about the young fellas over here,
yeah,
the
little
15s? Give these guys
a terrific job, didn't they? Did a terrific job.
Well, I've got to speak to the coach, Pat Beretta. Pat, were you happy with your performance in Sydney?
Well, certainly happy. Not because the end result, but because at the end of the day we have 8 boys that have been earmarked by Les Chamfla for the potential joys of 97. After that, 11 of the players were called for the VIS for the Institute of Sport, so they may get a few of them in there as well.
Well, you've done really well, and Lou Kastner, the coach of the 16-year-olds, he done really well as Blakey. But Blakey, I've got to speak to this man here, and Paul, and Henry. This is Dave Phillips, the chairman of the juniors, and he puts a lot of work in. But is it true the boys on the trip away, they called you Kramer? And why is that?
Look, I really don't. I'll get even with somebody sometime, okay? Don't worry about that.
Well, you must be proud of the juniors so far in Victoria. They've done really well, and they're becoming a force again. Kramer?
Thanks very much. There they are. I'm very proud of them. They did well up in Sydney. We didn't win it, but they were good.
Well, what more can you say, Kramer? You have your own TV show soon, by the way, if you give us that.
Shocker, can I just ask a question of Pat, who was one of the coaches over there? Pat, last year, Victorian teams did fairly disastrously, I guess you could say, in the national championships. This year we had a team that made the final and another one that got 3rd place. What's the difference between, you know, the last 12 months?
I guess the difference is that we have some changes in the federation. We got a German background coach, and we got myself with some South America background. Perhaps it might be that we're looking at different type of player with skill, with flair, but hopefully this sort of thing will keep occurring.
Well, there you have it, Blakey, because I really thought Pat Barrera was from the same part of the world as me. I thought it was a Scottish accent I detected there.
All right, Shaka, button your beak, son, because we've just about run out of time for this. We've got to take a little bit of a break, but before we do that, gentlemen, and Henry, I know you'd be joining me in this and echoing the sentiments that we've got to thank the sponsors who are involved in putting the soccer show on air this year.
We certainly do, and we're grateful to each and every one of them. And we hope they'll be with us next year, but we'll be talking about next year a little bit later as well.
Okay, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with sadly the last segment of the Soccer Show for 95 in just a moment.